Hello, and welcome to the Green Team of the Legendarium, the weird little spin-off podcast where patrons of the Legendarium get together and talk about the books and topics the main crew haven't gotten around to yet. I'm Seeker, and once again, Jingalls 90 is joining me to discuss the Hradani War God, or whatever else you want to call this series.
We've had comments about that, on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think Panda
that we're calling
sent
it the
me.
wrong thing?
Yeah, but I also have no idea what we're supposed to call it. So,
I actually just heard an interview with Weber on the Honor Harrington podcast, and he called it the name of the world.
the name of the Norfressa's the country.
Yeah, Norfressa's the country.
I mean,
I don't
I
think
look.
he called it Norfressa. He might have.
Yeah, I mean, I look it up. When I look it up, I call it just War Gods, and
Yeah,
that seems to be just fine. So,
yeah, it works.
yeah. But anyway, I interrupted. What book are we talking about?
Today we're doing the fourth book in whatever you want to call this series, um, and War Maid's Choice.
Yeah.
And a War Maid does make a choice in this book.
Yes, she does. A couple of them. A couple are good. A couple are questionable.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
All right. So, general impressions, general ratings.
all right. You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So we have entered the chunky books at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is 844 pages by my count. And boy, oh boy, could I have done with a lot less.
I was thinking the opposite, that it
Really?
needed another 100 pages, and I'll explain why when I do mine.
Okay. Yeah, I just really briefly, and we can get into some of it later, but I think there were moments in this book, and maybe it's just because they're not for me, but I felt like there were certain characters that we spent a lot of time with, particularly in the villain sect, that were incredibly repetitive in their thought processes. We got to hear a lot about those thought processes. um, and ultimately, maybe I agree with you. Maybe it could have been a little bit longer at the end because everything felt so sudden in its wrap up. For how much effort we got put into all of these plannings and schemes and all of these things. So that's my general impression.
Okay.
On the whole, though, I still very much enjoy Weber's action, and I still very much enjoy like the world that he is actively building. I think that's very cool, and I like kind of the predicament that we kind of find ourselves in this book, as Norfressa's kind of like the last bastion of good that Tomanak's protecting against
Mm-hmm.
the dark gods. I think that's really cool. Um, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, there were plenty of sections in this where my eyes were just kind of glazing over from listening to diabolical machinations.
Yeah. Okay. What would you rate this book?
I think I'd give it 2.5 stars out of 5.
2.5. Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is definitely one of the lowest on your. I think that's the lowest rating you've given one of these books.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I think three and a
I
half was the lowest before.
yeah. I think like all of the books have been incredibly entertaining to me at this point. And I think this is where I kind of started seeing just like too much indulgence in the writing.
What I see, and my biggest beef is this book is the first one of this series where Weber is really starting to do his trademark exposition, or
Yeah.
as in the Honor Harrington podcast, one of the people calls it Murray the Explainer,
I would agree with
where
that.
Weber will go on for a paragraph explaining how a piece of technology or magic works. And you also get paragraphs of why certain people are doing certain things, why certain plans have to happen certain ways, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, if it gets repetitive, it can be a bit tedious at times.
Yeah.
My biggest beef actually though is after going through all these details, there is no real sense. I honestly thought your biggest complaint would be that Bazel and Liana just seem to go here and go there, but we never really understand why in anything beyond the shallowest sense.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of I guess maybe I'm giving that the excuse that they have gods guiding them,
Mhm. Well,
right?
that
And
is the
that's maybe
impression that I'm getting, that it's
yeah,
just, the god is guiding them. They have a feeling they need to do this, and so they do it. But even that's not really even it's just, and then there's no travel time. It
that's true.
jumps from you're at this location, okay, now we're at that location.
Yeah.
And the entire war against the ghouls is supposed to happen over one summer. Yet during that one summer, Bazel goes from the Bowmaster location
Mhm. The Sithoi,
to the
yeah.
capital of the where the king is. Then he goes to Hergram to visit his family,
Mhm.
and then he goes to the Ghoulmore,
Yep.
all during summer.
All
I mean,
during
I
the
know
summer.
he's writing, he's writing, um, whatever his name is, the horse,
Oh,
the Wind Brother.
yeah.
But I mean
Ka
that seems like a massive amount of traveling, considering he stays in some of these locations for weeks.
right.
And so that was my biggest beef is the timing of the events don't seem to fit within the time frame they're supposed to happen in.
No, and I think you're right. I think the idea of time, um, almost didn't phase me just because it seemed like things were just happening when they happened. Now, I
Mhm.
will say the one problem I did have was, it did feel like, um, especially at the end, it felt like a lot of the cities, which they had taken like 2 or 3 days to get to at any given time in the last book, they were all right next to each other. We very
Yes.
much had it yeah. We did very much have like a, end of Game of Thrones style thing
I mean,
happening
in
where,
the
like
last in was it the last book? No, it was the book before the last one. The I think it was the second book. It took them, I think, a week to run from the seat of power of Bazel and his family just to the gullet,
right,
which
and
is the
now they're
past. And it's like they're making those trips, it seems like in days,
in
if
days.
that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out is maybe something we're missing here, and I don't really need to give, um I don't know, I feel like I don't really need to defend Weber in this, but aren't they using new, like, port trails and rivers and things? Maybe that's part of the excuse is that things are moving faster?
Possibly,
Yeah,
possibly. I mean, that's edging on spoilers, but there are new modes of transportation, shall we say?
yeah, yeah, I think
So
it's,
maybe that's part of it.
yeah, don't need to
But
spoil it
that's
too
why
much,
I
but
said I think it could have used another 100 pages, and possibly an explanation of how long summer lasts in this world.
that would be a good well, hey, fantasy world, you never know when summer's
Yeah,
gonna end,
true.
right? Winter is coming.
Yeah, it lasts 10 years in this world.
Yeah, which I guess I keep mentioning Game of Thrones so much because Yeah, I feel bad doing this. I really shouldn't. But kind of what this book felt like to me was like Game of Thrones has entered, or A Song of Ice and Fire has kind of entered huge popularity, and Weber is kind of making a book that tries to match those political voices and things, and maybe they don't go exactly the way George R. R. Martin sets them up.
Well, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, Martin's an atheist, and Weber is, definitely a Christian. So
Yeah,
there's definitely conflict there.
yeah.
But
Okay, well, I feel
this
like
is his only fantasy series. So
right.
you
Well, that's
know,
something I guess we could kind of get into here in the non-spoilers. Like, do you think um oh, I lost my train of thought. No, sorry. I totally lost my
about
thought
fantasy or atheism.
about fantasy,
Okay,
but I can't remember now.
all right. Well, I would give this book probably a 4 because I actually enjoy, and I know this has to do with the fact that I do audiobooks, because when I'm reading, I don't have the patience for a lot of this, and I find
Right.
myself skipping over it. But I actually enjoy listening to all these little details of how the world works and how the ships are built in the sci-fi world, and the 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 plotting, especially of the villains, is I always find villains' motivations more interesting than those of lawful good characters. You know.
So, can I I agree with you. I
Mhm,
do like the villains a little bit. I should say I enjoy the villains in these books. I think they're fun. I think they're like interesting, like pure evil characters.
mhm.
Um, and I don't think they fall too far on the side of uh they don't fall too far on the side of just being cartoonish in their evil.
No, I mean the wizards maybe a little bit, but not the
The wizards a
nobles.
little bit, but not the nobles. I think like Weber is playing with some interesting gray areas as well with some of those characters.
Hmm.
Like there's one midway through the book, I thought maybe there was a chance that they saw the error of their ways, and then I realized how foolish that was to believe
Hmm.
that. But therein lies kind of the problem, I think, or not a problem, but maybe a limitation of a series where you do want to portray absolute goods and absolute evils, and you
Yes.
expect the goods to win all the time, or at
Yeah.
least to win out.
And it's Weber's natural style. And anyone
Yeah,
who has read Safeholder Honor Harrington knows that the enemy or opposition are often include very good people just trying to do what they think is the best for their own people.
right.
Whereas here we have and it's because of the deity dichotomy. We definitely have the good and the evil.
hmm And unfortunately, like the only like stressing of the idea that good is losing is that we are told that good is losing, but every
Mhm.
action we see follows through with good prevailing. Um,
Except when they lose at the end of the book.
oh yeah. Wait, what? Sure. Yeah, is that
I
what
mean, at the
happens?
end of every single one of these novels, it's
Yeah,
like evil is winning all the way up till the end where it all falls apart.
where it all falls apart in like a couple of pages, and then
Uh-huh.
they're doing something silly like playing or something to close out.
Right.
um, which we're in non-spoiler mode, but at the same time, if you're following us through this series, I think you've caught on to this pattern. Like, I
Yes.
think we can be pretty open with that as being a part of the formula for these.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting. Um, it reminds me a little bit of Dragonlance. I think I've said that before.
Yeah.
There's definitely a Dragonlancey type vibe. And it in many ways reads like a D&D quest.
Right.
You know.
Which, yeah, which I get at the time. uh, Not even just at the time, maybe a little less now, but from the 80s to the early 2000s to 2015ish, that was the majority of fantasy, was these epic high fantasy style quests
Oh
and
yeah.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
um
anyone who's ever read the Drist books,
oh yeah,
R.A. Salvatore,
yeah.
it's
And you
like
get
those are
comforted by
nothing.
that. That's why you do it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they're just so much fun.
They are. They're a ton of fun. And I think this was a ton of fun too, except for when it wasn't.
Except for when
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think if it were, 150 pages shorter, it would have been much more appealing for your particular style.
Yeah, I think so. Especially because I don't think I like some world building, and
Mhm.
the world building's great. I think I don't need to hear Varnathis's 20 different plans on how he's going to orchestrate a crime and
Right.
then have literally none of them work out because he's evil, so that can't happen. Like,
M- More or less, more or
yeah.
less. Yeah. Although I think we can say it now. In the first book, okay, well actually let's do our recap and then we can get into spoilers.
Okay, cool. Um, for the recap, just a disclaimer: these thoughts represent my own and not necessarily those of Seeker. We'll see how this goes. 6 years have passed since Carrie defeated Shigu. The Dark Gods are not happy about the state of things in Northressa. They've almost completely dominated all of the universes, but Basil and Co. are sticking in their craw. Not that Basil has noticed. The Dwarves and the Suthaway have teamed up, and industry is happening. A canal is to be made, connecting the major cities and to improve trade routes. However, there is a Gulmur in the way that needs to be cleared so that the construction can continue. Enter Kassan, Varnathis, and a bunch of other highly questionable humans, wizards, and devils. They are intent on defeating Tellian and Basil at all cost. Get ready for a lot of pages of having these almost completely paranoid minds work out what they're going to do against Tomanak. Meanwhile, Leanna isn't a little girl anymore, and Weber really wants to remind us of it. Apparently, this 6 year time gap was just to make us kind of okay with the fact that she is really into Basil. After some questionable and continuing discussion of the ethics of the topic, Lilinara and Tomanak intervene and marry Basil and Liana to wash our hands of the moral implications of this discussion. Tellian barely survives an assassination. Liana bonds with Grey Fressa, becoming the first War Maid Windrider, stops an assassination attempt on the king in a tremendous siege, and ultimately kills Kassan. Varnathis continues to unnecessarily monologue to himself. Vijon dies, but not before taking out a devil, and Basil defeats a devil as well. Varnathis dies to whence it, and we all live happily ever after. War Maid's choice.
I love that. Is it the fact that she's young or is it the fact of an interspecies age difference with the Liana and Basil?
This
Because
is a
she's 21.
She is 21. I have a weird I don't think this 6 year gap is very helpful with anything other than justifying this change from a 14-year-old to a 21-year-old. Um,
I mean, that is why it's there. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I don't think it's definitely not the interspecies thing. I don't. It's not.
But it's not like, it's not like Bazel is pulling oh, I'm blanking on his name. A Woody Allen.
No, but I do. Weber is doing everything in his power to make sure that we decide that this is okay. And on a more metacritical level, I can't help but see this as kind of a wish fulfillment thing of an older person dating a younger person. right? I
Okay,
that
now
seems kinda yeah,
question. I mean, I do see where you're coming from there.
yeah.
Um, but we do have 2 different species, and it has been I mean, Weber has tried very hard to make sure we know that they're actually the same age when lifespan is taken into account.
When lifespan is taken into effect, I don't think relative lifespan has any change on experience over
Okay,
a handset of
so
years,
so
right?
here's my gotcha question. In Lord of the Rings, Arwen is 2,700 years older than Aragon. Editor's note. Obviously, I meant Aragorn, not Aragon. Please don't kill me.
Yeah, that's assuming I'm okay with that too. I think that's weird.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, at least you're consistent.
yeah, yeah,
We've never discussed that, so,
yeah, yeah. A 90-year-old dating a 2000-year-old is questionable,
well, he's 88, but yeah,
or
yeah.
88, but yeah, either way.
Okay. Alright. So, yeah, I personally have never really thought about it. I just in fantasy, this type of stuff happens, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever."
Yeah. I think I could have done that. I think I could have gone that route totally fine if I wasn't told so much
Mm,
that this is something that Liana can choose to do, and this is a thing that Bazel has all of the moral obligation to reject, except
mhm,
for when she makes the choice, right?
right.
I think
I mean,
Weber
which is what I think Weber was trying to do is make sure that it's like he is not grooming her. He is keeping away as much as he can. He is, et cetera, et cetera. This is her choice and her desire, and she's the one making it happen.
yeah. See,
Yeah.
and I kind of have a weird problem with that because it is like a very conscious awareness of what's going on and choosing to find every way to justify it.
Almost as
Even
if the
going to the
lady does protest too much.
yes, exactly.
Okay. That is a fair criticism. That is
Yeah.
a fair criticism. Because if Weber himself didn't feel there it was problematic, he wouldn't have inserted pages and upon pages of justification for it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't wanna put words into his mouth on what he was
Well,
thinking or
obviously,
what,
this is
but
our
yeah,
interpretation.
this is our but
Yeah.
yeah, my interpretation is, like, if we were just gonna be okay with the 18-year-old, 50-year-old dating the 20-year-old, we could just do that, right?
Mhm.
But no, we have a lot of reminding us that Basil is quite older, but not
Mm.
really, and Liana is quite younger, but not really.
But not really, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't like that just seems really weird to me
And for
as a
whatever reason,
writing
she's been
choice.
living purity culture among the war maids.
Yep, exactly.
It's like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Which yeah, good for
and
her. But yeah,
what
so
what
that's kinda where I am there.
I really enjoy the opening where you have the 5 evil gods all plotting in the beginning.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. And they have like this multiversal realm that they're in with this giant
Uh-huh.
tower with a smooth surface. Weber's descriptions of this entire place are amazing.
Yeah.
Um, getting them
And
to
how,
talk it out.
it seems to extend into infinity, yet he crosses it at only a few steps and, you
Yeah.
know, defies all the laws of nature and gravity, and it's like, wow. Like we're
Yeah.
entering a Doctor Strange realm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And I love the 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 analysis of why the 2 gods who failed in the previous books are basically shut out of Norfressa. That's the name of the world, I think.
yeah,
Or is
North
that the
Russia.
is that the country?
I'm pretty sure that's just the country, but I could be wrong
Okay.
on that. It could be the whole
Well,
world.
whatever.
Yeah.
We'll call it Norfressa just for simplicity's sake. If any of our listeners want to correct us, please feel free. And so basically the only options left are Carnadosa with her mages and Krashnark with his devils.
That's right. His whole army of
Which
devils and more scheming.
Yes, well, yes. That's Carnadosa is the scheming. I don't think the devils did any scheming at
No,
all.
they just showed up to wreck.
Hulk smash.
Yeah. It was great at the
But
end of the book getting the devil's perspectives, and they're like, "I've killed so many humans."
uh-huh. I've killed so many champions. This is not going to be a problem. Oops, it's a problem.
It's a problem. Girl. Oh,
Yeah.
Vijon. Or R.I.P. Guy was great.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to him. Um, what did you think of the character development of Kassan? No, not
Kassan?
Kassan. Not Kassan. Trisu,
Tree suit.
the
That's
guy
the
who
king, right? Oh,
is
no, no.
Trisu the king?
No,
The guy
he's
who
the,
hates war maids but is
yeah,
impeccably polite.
he's the ward of, the 7th of the West, right? That's what he is.
Yeah, he's
I
the one
really
who's in charge of Kalatha.
yeah. Yeah, that's him. I really like Trisu. I feel like see, this is
Yeah,
the type of
he
guy
grows on you.
yeah, he's the type of guy in these books that I actually like where I think Weber's ability to use like a lot of finesse in the way that a character develops is explicitly shown almost in Trisu.
Hmm.
Because Basil is kind of exactly what we expect him to be. Liana turns out to kind of be exactly who we think she's going to be.
Hmm.
Um, but Trisu, actually, we see like his prejudices are in play at all times. He is desperately trying to fight them because he understands that there are things that are happening that are beyond his control and that maybe they've misled him. Um,
Right.
like he feels like an actual fleshed out, full grown character,
Yeah. Yeah, I
which I
really
really like.
liked Trisu in this book.
Yeah,
He he begins as he's obviously been humbled by the events of the last book. And even though he was in the right with the contract and all that, it's almost as if he acknowledges he could have just as easily been in the wrong
right,
if the dark gods had decided to tamper with his contract instead of the temple's contract,
right,
you know.
exactly.
And that's something I really didn't expect from the Trisu we met in the last book.
No, the Trisu we met in the last book was just an absolute arrogant pump. I mean,
Mhm.
the guy was just completely
In many ways, he reminded me of Baijan when we first met him.
yeah,
Ruled by his prejudices and his assumptions.
yeah. But he didn't have the youth that Vijon had,
No,
right? He's much
no, he
more
didn't have the
mannered and
youth or the
controlled.
innocence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, which probably is why he doesn't get into paladin territory, at least yet. But right
No.
now it's like he's very settled in his ways, but he's understanding
Hmm.
that he maybe needs to come around on those.
Right.
Whereas
Well, I mean,
Vijon
he's not
was
trying to follow a god. He's just trying to be a good lord.
good lord. Yep.
You
He's
know.
trying to make peace in the land. I mean, I
Hmm.
do love like by the end of the book, he is working with the war maids to
Hmm.
make that ambush, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. He recognizes prejudices be damned. We've got to solve this problem.
yeah. It's something.
Yeah.
It's clearly an issue, and it's clearly we're no longer talking about just my territory, right? Or a turf war between the two of us. We're talking about the actual king
Hmm.
getting assassinated, like actually being involved to the point of possible assassination.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the threat of wizardry. He's completely appalled, possibly because of his experiences in the previous book, at the idea of the dark gods continuing to meddle in his realm.
yeah,
It's like, screw my differences. At least we worship the gods of light.
yeah.
So,
So
yeah,
yeah,
he is a fascinating character.
yeah, and I'm glad he kind of picks up where Vijon left off because Vijon, obviously, like after book two, he's good as goody two shoes Basil can get, right? Like
Mhm.
he's just the perfect war leader, paladin leading everyone into battle against these ghouls
Yeah,
and
we
these
don't
devils.
really see a lot of his intermediate growth. We see his early growth, And then the
Mhm.
next time we meet him, he's the perfect paladin.
Yeah, he's like the end result right
Hmm.
away, which is great. I mean, I think that works for his storyline in
Yeah.
particular. I don't think he
Very
really has.
much a a Luke Skywalker after between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the
In
Jedi.
return. Absolutely.
It's like crazy kid to stoic Jedi master. Wait, how long were we out gone?
Yeah. What was going on? Oh, right. You didn't get to join us in book 3. We don't know what happened. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like Trisu. Um, okay. So it kind of sounded in the non-spoiler section that you didn't necessarily have a problem with like Varnathus's scheming and things and Kassan's scheming.
Um.
So what are some of your
No,
insights
I
on that?
mean I can see he did tend to repeat himself, and some of them, um, you know, I recently listened to a podcast where it's a writing podcast, and the host was talking about how in writing you have to anticipate the readers going, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And you have to find a way to close off all those avenues within the structure of the book without just listing them.
Right.
And I believe that's what Weber was doing. Um, I it personally didn't rub me the wrong way, but I can see how there are more efficient ways he could have done it. It's
Sure.
like world building. You don't throw your entire world building into one paragraph at the beginning of each city.
Right.
You
You
know,
let it grow. You let it grow as
yeah.
they travel through. Yeah. I think
And we honestly didn't need to know every backup to every backup.
no, we really didn't because they didn't even
You know,
get to the backups.
right? And at the end, the character who's the big planner is dead. So
Mhm.
it's not like we were developing his character for a future book.
Right. This was
You
his
know,
opportunity to kind of yeah. I don't know. When I first started reading this book, I kind of thought it was more for it to be humorous than anything else.
mm,
But because Varnathus as a character is kind of a um is incredibly devious and he is incredibly sly and witty.
right.
So I was like, oh, maybe we are just getting to see like a little bit of play into this guy's mindset. Um, but then he did it
That's
with
very
Kassan as well.
possible.
Yeah.
Weber has a dry sense of humor, so
Yeah.
and he loves playing with puns.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah,
um,
he does. um, but then he starts doing it with Kassan and multiple times with Varnathus. So there is some, yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to
yeah.
interpret
Well, like
exactly
we
what's going on
didn't
there.
need to learn exactly how the ring worked and how the magic system interacted with, you know, how wizardry is different from magery and how they interact with each other and all the little details of who can detect what, how, and when. And, but that's just, honestly, that's how Weber rolls. That's
Yeah.
just what he does. And in his early books, I believe he was forced by editors to keep it to a minimum. But as he became a bestseller, you know, publishers cut the bestsellers some slack, and this is the direction he took it. You
Yeah.
know,
That's what I did see. I was doing some research on Weber after reading this book, and I did see like this doesn't seem to be an uncommon criticism of his work.
no, it's a primary criticism,
Yeah,
very much
I
like the way Jordan wrote women
yeah,
or depicted all the buildings and clothing and food to the nth degree. It's like Weber's exposition is what critics primarily criticize.
yeah. I did see like someone did a great post. Can't remember if it was on Reddit or something else, but they were talking about a scenario: a man is eating cereal, and it goes into the written as David Weber, and
Oh
it's
Lord.
the man put the spoon into the cereal. He doesn't remember the last time he did this, probably when he was a child, and it just goes on for paragraphs and paragraphs of other
Oh,
stuff.
that is so good.
And then at the very end, it was he took the bite of the cereal after like pages worth of information dump. It's just
Oh,
yeah, that's
no.
how it felt sometimes.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I saw another story too. I don't know how apocryphal this is either, but um I guess yeah, kind of what you're talking about. Like this was the first kind of book that Weber had where he didn't have Bane as his editor,
I didn't know that.
like the
Well, I
man.
know, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I don't really know when this book was published compared to his other books. It's just within our Hradani War God series, this is the first where we're starting to see real Weber.
Yeah. Yeah. This was written first paperback printing was 2013, 2012
Mm.
was the original
So it's
by
pretty recent.
Words of Weber Inc.
Okay, so so it's not. Yeah, it's published by Words of Weber, not published by Bain.
Maine. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that could
yeah,
definitely be part of it.
gave him a little more freedom, which, you know,
Hmm.
if the guy wants to flex his purple prose muscles, that's all the more power to him. I
Yeah,
I just it didn't work for me necessarily.
yeah. Well, a friend of mine. I mean, speaking of people who get long-winded, um, he he finished the Wheel of Time, and he was saying that I asked him, so how about this? What do you think of the slog? And he's like, actually, I liked it. The only thing I didn't like is very much like the book, uh, The Two Towers. Is we would spend sometimes an entire book without getting back to a character that I particularly like. And
Yeah,
he wished that there had been more jumps between characters rather than just staying with one viewpoint for half a book,
right.
you know. And I'm like, valid you know.
Yeah. I
And
mean, a similar one could be aimed at this book too. Like if you're here to read the Basil story, you're not really getting that this book.
no. And we're actually getting, I mean, the next book is not really about Basil either, or Basil, however you want to call him.
Yeah.
It's it's he's he's involved, but it's well, he's not the protagonist, shall we say?
Sure.
You know, in fact, I think the only book where he is the center of the book is the first one.
I mean, I would say the second one as well. He's pretty focused as the main
He is
character.
he is he is central. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really the book before this where I feel like you start seeing the distancing from
Hmm.
him
Yeah, because the
because
book before
Carrie,
this focused mostly on Caritha and Liana.
yeah, and Liana, and then this one kind of transitions into no Carrie in this book. That was a disappointment. Not one I'm gonna
Yeah.
put as a criticism, but a disappointment. Yeah.
Yeah, Caritha is a nice
Well,
character. And
yeah,
I love her interaction with Bazel.
yeah. I do hope we get to see her again at some point, but um especially because the implication seems to be like this is the last bastion of people. Like, is the Sithoi and the Axe Hands and the Hergrams.
Well, this continent right now,
Yeah,
one continent is ruled by um, the Kantavarans, which are all demon worshipping mages, and then this continent is ruled by people who follow the gods of light but can't stop bickering with each other. Or at least pay lip service. I'm not too sure what the Purple Lords are doing.
continue to put themselves at odds with goodness itself.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Purple Lords seem to be fine with anything as long as they can claim plausible deniability and make money at the same time.
Right. Yeah, they're cool with that. That's
So, whereas the dwarves have a very strong, if not pro good sense, a very strong anti evil sense.
yeah.
And then
Well,
that is
yeah,
made explicitly clear.
they're fully ready
You
to
know,
align with both the Hradani and the
within
humans.
if for no other reason to destroy the creatures of evil.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I do wish we got more dwarf fighting action. I do love their
Mm.
inventions though. That's good stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
It's
but
like Weber crossed dwarves and gnomes in this
yeah,
book.
exactly.
We have Gizmo and Gadget making dwarves. Okay.
Yeah. All
And
right.
no
So
reference to beards.
none whatsoever. um but yeah, kind of on the topic of them, like, do you like the progression of their industry, kind of their invention progress that they're getting in this book? I guess that's the other thing the 6 years
It
works
it's
towards,
it strikes
which is
me
great
as
to give
like
credit.
early steampunk.
Hmm.
It's all driven by water wheels. Nobody's invented the steam engine yet, but it's like they're hitting the upper limits of what can be done with water wheels,
Yep.
and it's easy to imagine a future where they've introduced, if not steam locomotives, steam powered drop hammers.
Right.
Because the first steam engines were so inefficient that they were primarily used in coal mines to pump out water and to move the coal wagons, because you just had to pile tons of coal into them just to keep them running. And so, they weren't any good for going from A to B because you'd run out of fuel halfway there.
Right.
The old story of how many donkeys do you need to move 100 bales of hay? And it's like, well, it really depends on how much hay you want to arrive.
You're right. You gotta plan your resources accordingly, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of love that we walk in on, or we enter on all of them figuring all this stuff out, and they've got their underground tunnels that they've excavated and are getting ready to fill with water and
Yeah. And I love during the battle that the guy in charge is like yelling at him for using defective shafts. They're like,
right.
this one's got a broken fin. Give me a good one. Uh,
Very good.
Also the limitations. Weber doesn't write the catapults and scorpions and as some kind of miracle weapon. It's like, yeah,
Right.
they can take out several, but only if they're in a straight line behind each other. It's like, it's
Right.
not like this is a miracle weapon that'll wipe out half a whatever, half a
You
troop.
might be able to face a troop face on for a little bit, but don't expect it to help you
Yeah,
that
if
much.
they're marching in column, it might work.
Yeah.
But
We know that, yeah. We know that that's not going to be happening. There's a lot of guerrilla
mhm,
warfare in this one, which I find
mhm,
really good. Um, yeah,
yeah, and the healings are interestingly done. The one
they
healing we
are.
see done,
Yeah.
it was like, mm, and but all
Wait,
right,
so
so we
what
got
do you so do you mean the healing of gosh, why am I forgetting his
the
name?
healing of Liana's father, whatever
Yeah,
his name
Liana's
is.
father. Um Hold on, let me get this because we do need that name. It's a big name. Tellian.
Hellion, yes.
Yeah. I was actually kind of impressed by that whole scene of like Tellian taking for granted the fact that he has Basil with him.
Mhm.
I
And
really
in
like
my
that they
style analysis, I was actually impressed because that whole scene sets it up for Tellian to bring his armor to the to
yeah,
the to the end with the king,
to the hunting lodge.
and
Yeah,
to the hunting lodge, yes. And it's like, that is good writing. You don't have a
right.
Deus Ex Machina where Tellian just happens to have his armor and nobody else does. And why did he bring his armor? I don't know. He felt like it. It's like, no, he almost
Right.
got killed, and his wife would kill him if he didn't take it.
Yep. And now it's like the best thing he could possibly have at this moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the mercenary, I didn't know I'd be facing Wind Riders in full armor.
I don't know why you didn't prepare for that. You knew Tellian was going to be there. It was gonna be
Well, he's yeah. The mercenary is definitely not
yeah. Those are the axe
the
hands,
brightest
right? That's
bulb in the
the
shelf. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they were I was
Recruited by the River Brigands. So, if you're going to allow yourself to be recruited by River Brigands,
now's the time
mm,
to
and just the sheer Machiavellianism of the wizards, telling, was it Lord Trisu? Oh, and by the way, all the mercenaries believe you hired them, which they did anyway, which you did. So,
yeah.
it's like as if he needed more incentive to be an ass.
Right. Well, yeah, because was it they what's the best way to avoid getting caught up in all this? Now he's got to kill them all, which is what
Mhm.
he does. So,
Which is what they wanted,
yeah,
because they're not
yeah,
trying. He's trying to make himself king, or at least make himself what do you call it, regent.
right.
But the wizards want to restart the time of troubles and create total anarchy, which he definitely does not want.
No, he absolutely
You know.
wants the stability of his own kingdom.
Hmm.
Well, that's what I kind of enjoyed about Trisu and Kasan. I feel like they played very much two sides of the same coin.
Mm.
Where Trisu is the hard line on the good side, and Kasan is very much
Yeah.
the hard line on the bad side. Um,
Right.
where he wants that order and stability, but only if it is to achieve all of his goals, if it fulfills all of his
Hmm.
goals.
Right.
Um, so if
And
you
he's
look at,
perfectly willing to burn it all down if he doesn't get it his way.
oh yeah, I was so surprised that his final decision after all of his different ways of thinking this stuff through, um, his final decision was to not let himself be led into the lodge so he could actually face the king face to face, but it was to murder um his right hand man, his guard,
Hmm.
and then try to lie about the fact that
And
to the
do it
rest of
very
his army.
well.
Yeah. I was just like, wow, this
And
is
the
so
guard, you can see, especially in the competent guard, he realizes, okay, my lord is most likely a traitor, but I can't denounce him because that would betray my honor. And anyway, I've already committed treason, even though I didn't know I was committing treason.
committing treason, yeah.
So,
I guess I'm gonna take a shot at this, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, is a oh, that's another thing about Kasan and Trisu that works really well as foils is Kasan has all of the exact same prejudices as Trisu does. Um,
Yes.
with the new added one of the fact that a Hradani and a human female are married,
Hmm.
which he obviously takes lots of umbrage with.
Yes.
um,
Yes. And quite verbal umbrage.
yeah. And has no intention of changing it for the good of just being a person of existing.
Yeah. No, he's convinced in his view of the world and other people, and
No,
no one, not God, a God appearing to him couldn't change his mind.
no, it's incredibly dogmatic, which is
Mhm.
fascinating.
Although
Uh,
I did enjoy his analysis of, how some of the mages can detect lies, and he's like, yeah, that might be great, but then how do we know the mages are telling us the truth?
right,
you know that and $1 will buy you a cup of coffee. And so in his mind, it's no better, even though they have an oath, because he betrays his own oath so easily, he assumes it's the same for everybody,
right.
you know And that's something you see over and over again in fiction, that characters who do lie a lot assume everyone else is doing the same thing,
Right.
you know.
You watch
And
that cycle of betrayal just continue to spiral down and
mhm, and a part of the problem in real life is it actually does create that cycle,
right.
you know, because someone who's been repeatedly lied to will lie in self-defense,
Right.
so
Yeah. And
yeah.
sometimes people lie without even fully understanding why they're choosing to do so, which becomes
Well, I
kind
think we
of
all do that now and then.
yeah, yeah.
No.
But it's one of those things that you keep getting
but
driven
but
into
few
this
of us
corner.
do it with Kassan's Trisu's um eloquence and fluency.
Yeah, and correction,
Yeah.
self-correction. Yeah,
It's like, those I knew someone who could lie that well, and I believe they convinced themselves of what of what they were saying, even though it literally changed minute to minute.
that's wild. That's
Yeah.
surprising. Yeah,
Yeah, it just I just that's just the way their mind worked. It's the car salesman mentality.
right.
No. Well, we might be breaking a record on keeping it short and sweet.
You don't got anything else? What do we got?
Oh yes, yes. I do have one more thing. In the very first book, I believe, somebody asks Winsett if it's possible to time travel. And he says, yes, but only backwards. And if any wizard were foolish enough to do so, they would have to be extremely careful to stay out of everybody's way, or they could destroy the future they came from. Now, this is more, I don't expect you to have an answer now, but I want you to keep this in mind as you read the next book.
Okay.
Do you think Winsett time traveled into the past?
Ooh,
That the Winsett we are meeting is a Winsett who has already lived these
he's
events?
already lived. That would explain a lot about his wisdom, wouldn't it? Interesting.
And how he knew to put the Carcelhane directly underneath,
Underneath, yep.
um, you know,
Varnathus.
Bernassus's
Yeah.
workroom or whatever he called it,
Yeah, because he does set
and
that
how
up
he
just right,
always
doesn't
shows
he?
up exactly in time for certain events.
And just completely makes himself, unseeable otherwise.
Yeah, and is completely gone from all events. Like even at the end, they're like, "Good thing we didn't need you, Winsett, for this," and he's like, "Yes, that was a very good thing." You know, even though he literally just saved everybody's lives and nobody has a clue.
Right.
It's like, how did he know Lyanna's life was being threatened? Because that's when he showed up, is when Lyanna's life was threatened.
Right.
And then he threatens them with, if you ever go after her, you know. And it's like, what? It kind of reminded me a little bit of Star Trek Discovery, I think it's season 4, where the Red Angel shows up every time the main character's life is in danger.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what? Maybe. And I will tell you, I do not know the answer to this question. It is not answered by the end of the next book.
Okay.
In
Yeah, so
fact, if anything, more questions are added to that question.
okay. Yeah, so let's do a little
So,
preparation for the
yeah.
next book
The
because it
good
is
news is Weber has announced in the same podcast I mentioned earlier that he has passed this universe on to his successor and, quote, my copious notes.
interesting.
And so he wants to begin the transition while he is still able to assist in continuity of voice. Because, of course, they're not going to write the same way I do, but I want to help be there for the transition so it's not a shock to the reader.
Sure. Well, that's great to hear because I am interested in continuing. I imagine
Oh,
it will be even more so since when we read the next book. Because
very possibly. I mean, I hope the exposition isn't too much because if you've seen the page count, you know
yeah,
that it is
let me
it
grab
is
it.
a typical David Weber doorstopper.
Yeah, let's see here. We've got 523, but this is a full on trade, not a mass market. So
Mhm.
probably
Yeah,
comes out to be about the same. Okay.
I know the audio is longer than the audio is for War Maid's Choice.
Oh, dang. Okay. But not longer than. Oh, it is longer than War Maid's Choice. Okay, I confused my titles for a second there. That's impressive. That's really impressive. We'll have to see. I also noticed he has titles on each chapter now.
Mm.
It does
That
kind
is,
of just feel
I don't know if he does that in that book, but in some of his other books, he starts to title each chapter with where and when the events are occurring.
okay.
You really see that in Safehold and in some of the later Honor Harrington novels.
Yeah, this one looks more like your typical fantasy, like they have shadows of night and
Oh yeah,
designs and departures. A bit of insight. So definitely it'll describe the
yeah,
chapter, but
and
not
we're leaving the
necessarily
Wind
where it is.
Plane.
Really?
Yes,
Where do we have now? What do we have left?
I believe we're in the Kingdom of the Axe, or possibly the Spear in this one.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
But yeah, no more horseback riding against high flat plateaus.
Yeah. Well, that's what so maybe you already know the answer to this, but I got to imagine at this point Liana and Basil are together all the time as
You mean in the next
paladins?
book?
Yeah. Well, let
Um,
me rephrase that. They travel together. It's not like Liana's staying back
well,
to
I
be
can
a
tell you
war
this
maid.
without it being too much of a spoiler.
Yeah.
In the opening scene of the next book, Liana and Bazel run a pub or a bar.
Okay. That was a
Uh,
left turn.
you know your typical fantasy opening scene.
Yeah.
That's basically the next book,
Okay. Our adventurers are retired.
more or less. Yes,
Yeah. All right.
until a
Hey, cool.
mysterious stranger shows up, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, cool. Thank you.
So,
Despite my negativity on this one, I do still very thoroughly enjoy this series, and I am looking forward to trying more Weber in the future. Although some of the things I've seen and some of the things you've said, I do have to be a little hesitant when I start seeing these thick these thick books. Gonna be yeah.
thank you for joining us for our discussion of War Maid's Choice. Um, Thank you to Horizon Brave for starting all this, and to Craig for loaning us a little corner of your media empire. And the intro and outro music is Jingle Punks by Galactic Damages. Or, no, Galactic
Other way.
Damages by Jingle Punks.
There you go. You got it.
See you next time. Bye.
Adios.